And we're back. It is day 20 out of 30 building and launching an AI application in public. We have just come back after a weekend, which means I need to reset and work out where we were, what we were doing. But we're moving into our last 2 weeks now. So the idea is to build for 1 hour per day, basically to show that anyone can do this. And I'm keeping this extremely non-technical. I'm using Lovable, which is a vibe coding tool which allows me to build applications using natural language. And you will see I will actually talk to the tool using my voice rather than typing in anything. So you are very much abstracted from the code. You don't need to be writing in the code yourself. You just need to be able to instruct an AI, and that's enough for you to be able to build out an application, which is revolutionary. Some people will talk about the limitations of vibe coding, and absolutely they do exist. But if you have never built a piece of software before in your life, those limitations do not really matter, because it allows you to build something which, in my opinion, is extremely exciting, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build something from scratch. So what we are building, just as a quick recap, is a tool, just shifting my live stream around, a tool that allows me to generate lead magnets from pieces of content. So I can plug any YouTube video or any TikTok video into my tool in order to grab the transcript from that video and convert it into something called a lead magnet, which is basically a piece of value which can be given away in exchange for an email address. So this is based on a video called "This New YouTube Update Could Wreck Businesses" by Ed, I've forgotten his name, but I've created a checklist, which did not load up, as is the way when we showed things out. Let's see if these do. There we go, this one does. This is from a Firebase video, I think. So this is a checklist based on the contents of the video, which could be given away at the bottom of the video in exchange for an email address, which is a way for content creators, influencers, businesses to pull people away from a platform like TikTok or YouTube and get them into an email list. So that's what we're building. We have set it up so that we can create lead magnets from text. So I can copy and paste anything in here, or we can pull directly from a YouTube video. It used to be we could only do it from, excuse me, let's mute that. It used to be that we could only do it from our own YouTube videos, but we have changed that so we can now pull in any YouTube video. And we are now adding TikTok. So I would like to be able to pull videos from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, blog articles, so text, and then generate lead magnets off the back of them. So where are we? The way we're doing that is using something called Apify. So Apify is basically a scraper that sits in the back end. We can pull it using our application, but then we hit kind of rate limitations. So we can use, like on YouTube, we can pull 250 videos or 250 transcripts, but then our IP address will get flagged. So we'd have to put in like a way to use proxies to rotate our IP address, etc. It just adds complication. And right now we're just trying to build out an MVP, a minimum viability product, so I can get it to beta testers, so I can get it to market, and we can work out the next steps from there. So we're using Apify for now. Not the cheapest way, but it will do the job. What we're going to do today, what I'm going to try to do, is add in our TikTok scraper. So we added in the YouTube scraper. It's working. I might replace the YouTube scraper. The reason is the one I added and got working after a day or two is this, but look, you should be able to see it. It takes 25 seconds, 16 seconds, 18 seconds, a minute 45. Don't know what's going on there, to pull in the transcript from those YouTube videos. That's going to be annoying, because if my customer has put in a YouTube URL and they're sitting there waiting for 30 seconds for it to pull in and then another 30 seconds to generate using ChatGPT, it's just not going to be a very pleasant experience. Whereas this new one, which you have to pay for, it's $20 a month, which is fine, got a YouTube transcript and a TikTok transcript in 6 seconds. Much better. So I'd rather pay and then have a much better experience. Yes, it's this one. So this got I think that's a TikTok video, and this is a YouTube video. It's able to pull both in 6 seconds. So let's go ahead and put in the TikTok, the TikTok integration, get that working, and then go back to the YouTube one. I know it's a bit bitty, but this is the first time I built something using these particular APIs. So there's always going to be a bit of experimentation and a bit of faffing around, which is what it is. So let's go to Lovable. And we're going to be using this. This is our InVideo IQ. Hey Lovable, I am back. I would like to add in a TikTok scraper now, and specifically we're going to be using my same Apify API key, but we're going to be using a different scraper called the InVideo IQ video transcript scraper. I will give you the route in a moment so you're able to find it, and we're going to be adding into the dashboard. We're going to what's the opposite of highlight? We're going to make the TikTok soon button active, and we're going to allow that to accept a URL, and that URL will be sent to Apify in order to pull TikTok videos, and then go through the normal pulling the transcription process, pulling the thumbnail, please, if you can, and then coming up with the lead magnets ideas and saving the transcript. So as with the YouTube, but we're going to be doing this for TikTok. Do not touch the current YouTube integration. Do not touch anything else apart from adding in this new TikTok integration. Thank you. Okay, so I'm using my voice to talk to the tool, and then I press enter. I also have a cold at the moment, so if I start going in circles or lose track of things, that's because it feels like my head is full of cotton wool, so please do excuse that. And either my voice is it's lovely now because it's deep and gravelly, or it sounds terrible. I can't quite tell. Right, so let me just hop over to live chat. Hello everybody. And TikTok, tell me how the volume is on TikTok, because I have a new DJI. I had the DJI Mic 2, I have the DJI Mic 3 now. Did I need it? No, but it's very good apparently. But if it is too quiet, do tell me, because I haven't adjusted the gain. So I'll TikTok integration using the InVideo IQ scraper. Awesome, while keeping YouTube unchanged, hopefully. Let me check the current dashboard structure. Okay, so it's found the TikTok soon button. Creating a new edge function for TikTok scraping using the InVideo IQ scraper. This should be easier because it's already done this before using the Apify API. So adding new connections, adding new scrapers should be a lot easier. Fingers crossed. We'll find out. But theoretically, this will be easy. Famous last words. So if you've been following me for, we're on day 20 now, you'll know some days it works really well, and everything just goes smoothly and we can add functionality, and some days nothing works. I had one day, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, where it wasn't just the AI tools going wrong, but I think my lights were going out, the microphone was playing up, like everything went wrong on the same day. So I actually cut that stream short at 40 minutes. I was like, we're not getting anything done here. So perfect, I've successfully added TikTok integration. So it jumped ahead and said, yes, I've done it. As always, we do not believe it. The TikTok Zoom button is now active and fully functional. Transcript extraction, thumbnail support. So we're going to go ahead and test it. If it works first time, then I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of this stream, because that's all I plan to do, but we will. That's a good problem to have. So we're going to go ahead, update, and then have a go. So I need to plug in a TikTok video. I'll do one of mine, and then we'll do someone else's. So here we go. This one has 3.7 million views. This is a good one to add a lead magnet to, because people like this one. I've forgotten how to use my own tool. There we go. So TikTok button is now active. Awesome. That bit worked. There is an ability to add in a TikTok URL here. Cool. That works. Generate lead magnets. If this works, I'd be very surprised. No. No dataset ID in Apify response. So what we're going to do is, oh, we have 715 error codes. That seems excessive. We don't want to copy all of them because that's ridiculous. We just want this one. I think that suggests there's some kind of loop, and it got stuck in a loop. So what we're going to do is we will relay what we see back to Lovable and try to work out the next step. Okay, the TikTok button is active. The ability to enter a URL is active. That goes to the processing page and then hits an error. I'll give you the error codes. So that is the error code, and I'm also going to give it this from here and then pass it on to Lovable, because this is well, it's a relatively visible error. This should be quite easy to fix, because specifically there is no dataset ID in the Apify response. What we can also do, there we go, we can go and check in Apify what happened. The main function of the actor threw an exception. You need, oh, do I need to help? We need, okay, no, okay, that's unrelated. So what I should have done is also pull this issue back into Lovable too, but let's see if it can do it first. In general, you want to provide as much context back to your vibe coding tool as possible, because it can't see everything that you're seeing. So it doesn't have access to what I'm seeing in Apify. It doesn't necessarily see what I'm seeing in my console down here. So all I'm doing is relaying all of that information back and saying, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Help me diagnose and move on to the next step. So I see the issue. The InVideo scraper returns a different response structure than the YouTube scraper. Yes. Okay. So it was trying to model the previous YouTube scraper, which it shouldn't have done, but that's kind of my fault for not specifying it's got a different structure. It should have been able to work out that this is a different scraper. Still, it would now work. So I haven't actually given it InVideo IQ scraper response format. So I don't know if it's actually worked it out. How would I find that? I guess it would be in here. Input. Nope. Here. Sample input. So I might need to copy all of this in over to Lovable, or it's going and looking at the stuff and it's worked it out. I don't know. But let's give it a test. Let's see if it works. Again, this is the process. A lot of people get frustrated with vibe coding tools because they're like, oh, it went wrong, it did this, it did this. It's like, yeah, of course, these things go wrong. So the process is, well, working out what the general structure, the architecture looks like first. You need to do all of that. And then it's dealing with this kind of stuff, bit by bit by bit. So check, so that's the same one. So what I'm going to say is same error, post in that console. Oops. Ugh. Just want this. I just copied the whole of the console, which has 700 errors apparently. Frame. Okay, not going to worry about that yet. But then what I'm going to do is grab the sample inputs and outputs. Actually, what I could do, support platforms. Ooh, I do need this in a moment. Let's talk about Instagram. Video transcriber. Okay, we'll do that later. So simple inputs. I'm going to grab all of the instructions from here. And then chuck that over to Lovable, basically to say, here are the instruction manual, work it out. Obviously, us reading it would also be useful because that's going to help us diagnose it. But first, let's see what it can do. Just checking for questions. This is live. I am actually here. I don't see Nat. Nat is normally here telling me that I'm not real and that I'm my AI, but I don't see her at the moment. Okay, so I see the issue. Yes, it expects a different video input, a different input format. And then looking at the documentation you provided, so what I just copied in, I need to use video URLs, plural, as an array. Okay, that makes sense. So what it should have done, this is kind of my fault too, it should have, when I asked it to add in this new scraper. It should have said, oh, cool, you need to give me the input format. Could you give me access to the documentation so I can see what that looks like? Ideally, in an ideal world, it should have said that, or it should have gone and found that stuff itself. It did not, and therefore it tried to just model the previous thing that we'd built, which was YouTube, the ability to pull from YouTube. And that's what caused the problem, because it was trying to use some other code from another part of the project, and it kind of assumed it was the same thing. I say it's kind of its fault, but also kind of my fault, because what I should have done is, when given that initial instruction, I should have said, ask clarifying questions, or what else do you need to make this happen? And that probably would have triggered it to be like, oh, could you give me a copy of the documentation? So this is my problem and the Vibe Coding Tools problem. I think equal blame. I'm going to pull back one of my videos, stick it in here, see what happens. Okay, it hasn't crashed out, so that means something is happening. Okay, that is fine. No data returned, no subtitles found. Interesting. We don't just want subtitles though, do we? Video transcript. Okay, so it's saying there are no subtitles, which I don't know if that is true. Why have I got Spanish? Interesting. Okay, so this is response. So here's the question: have I used the wrong scraper? Potentially, but I did a run previously. This one, nope. This one. What's going on? Does it keep changing the order? Oh no, sorry, I'm being an idiot. There we go. So the runs were this one and this one. I think it's this one. There we go. This had a run, and this was on TikTok. So this is TikTok. So all right, let's run this again and see if this is a real problem or not. So this video that I'm about to put in did work previously inside the console. Let me check that's the right one. Nope. I did not manage to copy that. What's going on? Oh no, it is this one. As I say, I have a cold, so my brain is not firing fully. So this one fails. Okay, this tells me that it's a problem with my setup, not with the scraper, because I previously scraped this one and it worked, and it was able to grab the transcript. There it is. It was able to grab the transcript, no problem. So this is not a problem with the scraper, this is a problem with the integration somewhere. What I'll do is I'll actually use this one. New error. I'll give it that. Then I'm going to give the context. However, I know that the Apify scraper is pulling the transcripts, because when I look in my runs, oh. No, I don't. 1 second. So let's run that through, because this, we'll use this test video because this has previously worked in the Apify console. So we'll push this in and we'll run it in the console. This should take 6 seconds. So 3, 4, 3 seconds. And then we'll see what the log says. Okay, there we go. There's the log, and it has a transcript. Okay, however, let me get this 100% right, otherwise I'm going to be feeding bad information to it. When I run that same video in here, it returns there is no transcript. So it means it's working, there we go, it is working in the Apify console, but not in my app. So what I kind of want to do is grab this information. Is there an easy way to copy it, or do I need to download it all? Okay. Oops. I was talking all of that time. Okay, so this is the error code that I'm getting when I try to get the transcript from a TikTok video. However, when I run that same video in the Apify console, it works. I'll give you the JSON output. So that means the error is happening between Apify and our application, and you are unable to pull it in. So it's still not working. Compare what you're seeing with what I'm getting in the console, and we'll work it out. Right, so that's the explanation. Then I'm going to give it the JSON that I'm seeing in here. So this is what the output should look like. The scraper goes to TikTok and it grabs this, and then this gets sent back to my app. However, something is going wrong, and the app is saying, no, I don't, there's no subtitles, which we know is incorrect. There's slightly more context though, which is this. There we go. No, we'll start with that. That should be fine. Osred, it is a project that gets content from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram when I add it, and converts video content into written lead magnets like checklists, PDF guides, quizzes, etc., which the content creator can then put below their video content and give away as a lead magnet in order to collect email addresses. So we can do it with YouTube, no problem. We can create checklists, we can create PDF guides, and then we can also make landing pages off them. So the tool also hosts a landing page, so it makes it a one-stop shop for content creators to create many lead magnets. Fixed the response passing. Okay, let's have a look and see what happens. But the project as a whole is not just this. I'm going to be building one app every single month. So basically giving myself 30 days to come up with an idea, build the basics and launch it within 30 days, working only 1 hour a day. So far I've gone for 23 minutes today. We have a security scan error. What is this? We'll deal with that in a minute. I want to get this working first. And the way we're getting the transcripts from YouTube and TikTok and Instagram in a minute is we're trying to pull subtitles if they exist, and if they do not exist, we transcribe basically. So we're going to use that same. Need to make sure I don't do Instagram. There we go. Sit in here. No subtitles found. And why is this? Let's go back to the runs. So this one just finished. 12:16. Okay, so it's this one. This run just finished, and it came back with this. So it means not enough was being. Okay, I think I know what's going on. Okay, Lovable, still no dice. When I look at the run that failed, the only thing in the output is the URL. I've given you the JSON. The input. Here we go. And I'll give you the input as well. So I don't think the full information is being requested to Appify in order to pull from TikTok. So what we're going to do is input equals this, and hang on, get white. Oh, it's sending totally the wrong input. Get YouTube original metadata. It's trying to, okay. It is replicating my YouTube scraper too much. I think it's trying to use the requests that it sends from my YouTube scraper. It's trying to use them in my TikTok scraper by the looks of it. Because this, get YT original metadata, that is from YouTube. Also the use residential proxies, that's for YouTube. Okay, I see what's going on. Did you try Cursor, or is Lovable better? No, Cursor is better, but I'm not using it because I want to show this is much simpler. So Cursor is a much more powerful tool, and it gives you a lot more freedom and a lot more access. You can do a lot more of it. You can switch models. It's great. It's also very intimidating for people who have never ever touched code in their life, and things like the command line and setting up a local host for deployment and stuff. For somebody who's never coded before, all of that stuff is like, they're immediately going to bounce off, which is why I recommend something like Lovable or Bolt, just to kind of get started, and then you can move on to Cursor, and then when you feel comfortable you can move on to Claude Code and Codex, which are really good. Okay, the input, nope, that's not the input. In the input this, there we go. So I'm saying it's got YouTube parameters. You've copied from the YouTube scraping module. This is an entirely new TikTok scraper with a new Appify app. So I'm just telling it what it's got wrong. So this is why still being a little bit familiar with code is useful. I am not a coder. I am not a software engineer. I know a bit of Python, but I know enough to be able to look at this and be like, oh, I can see what's going wrong. However, I would say vibe coding is probably the best way to get into coding right now. Previously, you basically had to go through a course or read a textbook and do practice exercises, and it's incredibly boring and it's incredibly abstract. Whereas with vibe coding, you can now just start building something, and then you're going to hit problems. But because you are solving problems in order to progress your build, to progress the product, to progress whatever it is you're creating, there's a reason to learn. Whereas the traditional way is to learn just in case. So you're learning everything, and then when you are deploying a project, you have to kind of think back to, oh yeah, we covered arrays like a year ago in my course, I need to pull in arrays, or whatever it is. Whereas with vibe coding, you just get started on an actual project and you learn just in time. So you're absolutely right. I copied YouTube specific parameters. Okay, I think it's made a pig's ear of it because it tried to use that YouTube code, which is annoying. So I might need to step back. But Cursor is great. It's just a different tool for a slightly different part of the job, or if you are more au fait with code. What you do though is you can go from Lovable or Bolt or whatever. You can use GitHub, which is up here in the top right. You push everything to GitHub. You should be doing that anyway because it gives you checkpoints. More complex than that, but it gives you backups basically, and then you can pull from GitHub down into Cursor or put it into Claude Code or whatever it is. But using a vibe coding tool to get started is a really good way to kind of work out whether it's worth building the project in the first place. You can get the basics in place. I don't think this is going to work, but let's try it, and then I'm going to pull it back and say we need to go back to the drawing board, because I now know what it's done wrong. Yeah, it's going to do exactly the same thing. So okay, Lovable, I see the problem. When I asked you to add the TikTok module, what you have done is you have duplicated the YouTube scraper. That was incorrect. We need to rebuild it using the documentation from this new Apify scraper. The Apify app that we are using is not the same one as we are using with YouTube, so you've carried over bad code, or code that is irrelevant to this new module. So what we need to do is we need to take a breath, we need to strip out what you've done so far, and we need to redo this with reference to the Apify documentation. You need to ask me for everything that you need in order to get this done, and then we're going to connect the TikTok button and the TikTok URL request to Apify, the new application. And then what is going to remain the same is when we get that response from Apify, which again is going to be a different format to the YouTube response because it's a TikTok version. Once we get that response, that then needs to go into the idea generating tool, which is the same as the one we use with YouTube. So this is where we need to be careful, and save the transcript and all of the core functionality. But on the front end, that TikTok button and the URL that we collect needs to go to a different Apify app. So we must not reuse the code from the YouTube Apify scraper. Any idea which AI tool is best for writing a novel? Not really. It's not really my area. I would say probably Claude, just because Claude's got the best writing style. Whenever I have to write anything, I tend to use Claude as an assistant. But I would say with writing in particular, it's going to be quite subjective. It depends on what you as the writer think is high quality. So Claude is generally considered the best for writing, but that's going to depend on what style you want and whether you can get the AI close to that style. What I'd recommend with writing though, especially writing a novel, is using it as a co-writer, so co-intelligence, but still you do the writing. You're absolutely right, I made a critical error. Yes, you did. Looking at the code, I can see exactly what happened. I did indeed copy YouTube specific logic, try to adapt it for YouTube, TikTok. You're absolutely correct. Right, so can you confirm the exact Apify actor ID? Yes. So it's going to be this. So any specific API endpoints we should use? Good question. Good question. And what I'm going to do is give you the documentation so you can work this out. Request format, I think I've given you, that's in the documentation too. Response handling. Same database logic, yes. Same database logic with new source type TikTok. Clean slate. Okay, so I'm going to give it that additional information and then we'll implement from there. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of my fault with that initial request that I put in. I wasn't specific enough. So it's easy to get annoyed with the vibe coding tool and to be like, ah, you've messed everything up. This is also my fault. So using, hey Marcin, what are you doing online? Marcin, everybody, has just launched, I was about to say a vibe coding community, but I should say the vibe coding community. I'm going to put it up on screen while we do this implementation. Based on based on my analysis, current implementation is actually much closer to being correct than I originally thought. Oh, that's nice, Claude. So Marcin has launched, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marcin is top of school right now. Let's see if we can find you. It just became the #1 on school, which is very, very exciting in the school games. So Marcin has built this community with about 600 builders. I'm not logged in on this computer. I won't log in because I don't want to like dox who's in it, but it's a really, really cool community because it's people who are actually building stuff. I've been in many communities and there's a lot of people who are very interested in this stuff, but they haven't started building, which always kind of confuses me because the tools nowadays are just so accessible. It's just so easy to get started with these tools. So a lot of my newsletters recently have literally been like, just do it. Like go to lovable.dev, go to bolt.new or whatever, and just put something in. Like, what are you waiting for? But I think there's still a lot of fear about technology and about code, which is stopping people from just trying these things out. Which is why Marcin's community is a breath of fresh air, because everyone there is actually doing it. We don't learn anything unless we do something. We have to act, get things wrong, and then work it out from there. But not enough people do that, unfortunately. I'll rebuild the TikTok integration with proper response passing and error handling based on the documentation. Awesome. Okay. It's saying it's done. That didn't take very long. It did not make many changes either. So let's have a look. Let's have a look and see what it's done. I'm a little bit worried about Claude saying, actually, I wasn't that wrong in the first place. Maybe it's right. So I'm going to grab this TikTok video, put it in here and generate. No data returned. So go back over. So the input was this. That can't be. Did it not do anything? This was 229. Are you kidding? Did literally nothing change? I'm gonna re-update the live version just to make sure I'm not making a mistake here. But that looks an awful lot like nothing changed at all, and Lovable and Claude just said, yeah, fine. This is why we check. We check all of the time. TikTok into here. Boop. We have to check because I was about to say we get lied to. It's not lying. It's we'll be told what we want to hear an awful lot. So the run took 4 seconds. There's nothing in it. So that will have. Okay, nothing seems to have changed. And in your last changes, you did very little. You edited one edge function. And I worry that that is insufficient based on the error or the magnitude of the mistake we were just talking about. In Apify, the input that I'm looking at is still incorrect. It's still got YouTube parameters, including use residential proxy for YouTube, get YouTube original metadata. So that is entirely still the URL, the YouTube input, and the output is just outputs the video URL, and that is it. But that's because the input that you are sending it is still entirely incorrect. Go back to the multiple phase plan you had. I don't know what happened. It gave me a plan, a 4-phase plan, and then I was like, all right, go ahead. And it made one change, which I don't know how you get one change in 4 phases. That seems wrong to me. And then it did not work. So this is what we need to be careful of, that you're absolutely right. AIs will always gas us up. They'll always say, oh, wow, yeah, you're great. You're so smart. we're moving closer towards AIs that just call us out. And we'll say, no, Gemini is quite good at this, actually. Gemini 2.5 from Google. Sometimes you'll see it in its chain of thought, because you can see all the sub-steps. It'd be like, the user seems to think that X, Y, Z, but that's very unlikely. Da, 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 da. So Gemini is very good at this. For some reason, Claude is being sycophantic today, which is, we do not want that. We do not want a model that tells us what we want to hear. This is a problem with GPT-4o. So lots of people love GPT-4o for more personal users, but when you have that for work or for coding, that's a nightmare. We do not want a model that says, oh yeah, you're right. So I don't believe it. It says I've rebuilt it totally and it's edited one file. I don't believe that it's done it. Let me look at the actual code in here. Yeah. User ID. Okay, this looks better. Let's see if there's any mention of YT. No. Okay, there's no mention of YouTube. So maybe it's done it. I'm still a bit suspicious. Or it is changing all these things in the background, but something's wrong, like this button here isn't connecting to all of those changes. That might be what's happening. So I might be entering things in, but this has nothing to do with what is changing in the background. Maybe. So there might be a disconnect between the front end and the back end. So I'm getting exactly the same thing, and then I go back into here. Let's see, exactly the same thing. So I wonder if it's that. Okay, I'm getting exactly the same thing. What I would like you to do is create a demo page, a temporary demo page, just with a URL input for a TikTok video URL, which allows me to call on the TikTok Apify scraper function that you built for me, the get transcript of Apify function, edge function, and then all it will do is do a JSON dump of the output so we can see whether that information is coming in. So that's all I want for now. Let's test that core API functionality, and then we'll work on integrating it into the front end. Thank you. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a step back. I'm removing it from the actual application, the actual kind of buttons that you click on in the front end. I'm saying, okay, let's step back from them. Let's make just a page, an ugly looking page with one text box on it, where I'm going to add in one text field, where I'm going to add in a URL, and that's just going to grab the information from TikTok via the Apify scraper and dump it onto the page. I don't want it. I don't care about design. I just want to see if that connection is working. And if we can see that the functionality is working, then we can say, all right, we know the backend function is there. We just need to make sure that the data is pulled into the right places. So it's at TikTok test. And then we kill these pages in the backend once we're done. What's happened there? And that security error has popped up again for some reason. Okay, TikTok test is there. So all I'm going to do is drop in this URL that I know works in the Apify console in the back end. So I know, there we go. Okay. So at least we know what happened there. No subtitles found. I know there are subtitles. So because I know there's subtitles, that means we can kind of exclude that from the reasoning and use that to narrow down on where the actual problem is. And for that same reason, I've removed the complexity of the front end of the kind of the logic of clicking that button, for example, and put it on a test page. We're removing what could be wrong with it in order to hone in on what is wrong with it. Okay. I've also got a security scan error, which we'll need to fix. I normally fix them off stream because they're not very exciting. Okay, so pop back over to here, reload that TikTok test, grab that video, drop that back in here and see what happens. And we should be able to see that run in Apify running. Ding, 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 ding. Should take 3 or 4 seconds. There we go. Okay, well I can tell already that it's failed because the output is insufficient. Getting transcript. Just to save me going mad, it definitely does have subtitles. Look, 'cause when I add it here manually and I run it, it pulls the subtitles. So I know it has subtitles. I know the Apify actor can find it and pull those. So what's going on? There we go. Subtitles are there. So it works here. I'm stumped. What's that button do? Oh, sorry. Oh, it doesn't help having a cold. I'm stumped. Okay. Okay, lovable. When I run that exact TikTok URL inside of the Apify console, so the manual version, so running the Apify actor in the Apify console, it works perfectly and it's able to get the thumbnail, the description, like absolutely everything. So I know the information is available on that video because I'm able to get them using the Apify InVideo IQ / video transcript scraper in the Apify console. So that works. So help me diagnose what the difference is when we're using the API, because we're using the API rather than the direct Apify console. I can't work this out. And I don't know if Lovable will actually be able to help me. Or that Lovable's using Claude, so I could also take all of this over. So it says, note the settings above only apply to actor run starting Apify console. Yes, learn how to provide input when starting the actor via the API, but then this is the general API document. I know the API is working because we're using it on the and sorry, I know my because that's using my normal. So let's see. Okay, so the inside the app, the Appify console input is this. We're using the runsync endpoints, which might have different behavior. API we're using. You can't see my token, so I'm not worried. When's this actor? I mean, let's try this. Missing parameters. I don't think it's that authentication heading. What exact parameters are you using? I've just done that API key using the same. Okay, maybe it's that API. Oh. Don't do this when you have a cold. I tested to see if I had COVID. I don't have COVID. It's just a man flu, unfortunately. But it's just, I feel like I've got my head's full of cotton wool. Which when you're looking at API documentation, trying to sort out parameters for a scraper is not ideal. Missing parameters. Okay, well, wrong endpoint. We're using, well, I don't know which endpoint you have to tell me. We can use the run sync. What's the difference? So we've got run actor synchronously and runs this act and waits for it to finish. I mean, we can get dataset key values. We want dataset items. Get actor. No, it's not those. It's going to be running actor. With key value store record, waits for it to finish, post, that'll start as default options. Give it the API endpoints. Oh, I can't actually show that on stream. I'm gonna have to refresh that because I just showed it. Idiot. Keep the run sync for immediate feedback. That's the one we have in place. Fallback to run sync. Handle both. Compare request response. Yes, we do, but we had those already, so I don't think that's the core issue. For the API endpoints, make sure you aren't using the YouTube scraper Appify actor endpoint. A Lotro user, yeah, we need more logging. We've got a decent amount of logging in console, but we can always do with more logging. We can have some logging on this function test as well. Perfect, I found the core issue. We're using the wrong endpoint. Oh, what? It was running it without an API key. Come on, man. Alright, that feels like a lovable issue, or a Claude issue. So it was supposedly it's running it. So an API is a way for two pieces of software to talk to each other, and to do that we have this kind of long and we have an endpoint. So this is where my instructions are being sent, basically. But for the instructions to be received and to be listened to and processed, we need to have some kind of API key, which is basically, it's kind of like a password, but between pieces of software. It was not adding the API key. So I think that is the issue. In which case that is incredibly stupid. Unfortunately, I need to rotate my API keys anyway, but let's try and get this working and then I'll rotate them off stream. So I think it just wasn't sending. But why would I not see? I'd expect it in here to say, oh no, this is not a valid request. It shouldn't even receive that. So I can't tell if this is because I've got a cold and I'm making a stupid mistake, or if Lovable and Claude are being stupid today. Very frustrating. It's probably a little column A and column B. Unfortunately. Okay, so let's try it again. Otherwise, this may need to be something I deal with off stream. Oh, excuse me. Good God. It's much harder doing work when you're not feeling well. Right. We're testing it in the Apify function test. No. API error, no results returned. So let's check in here, same thing. Is it this one? Hang on. Okay, let's do a different video quickly. This one, you're fine. Okay, let's do it this. Let's refresh it. Let's see if it appears here. Invalid URL. Yes, yep, that is fair. That is not a valid URL. Let's try that again. Oh, okay. Alright, so we're running. We're getting somewhere. Okay. Okay. So, the Apify got it. There we go. There's all the subtitles. So, the problem is bringing it over. So, this is saying response success, false, error, no. Right, so, okay, in the test tool, it is responding error. So what I'm going to do is grab this, but in the Apify run, it is successful, and the JSON output is boop. So the successful run information is not making it back to our app. Okay, so that means we've got the input fixed, because we're able to send from this tool this URL over to Apify. Apify was able to process that, talk to TikTok and get all the information within 3 seconds. That worked. It has all of this information in here, and we can see I can literally see, I can see the thumbnail, I can see the description. So it gathered all of that information. That worked. But it did not manage to get it back to my application, because what was sent back was this: data success, false, error, no results returned. So instead of this being what we want coming back to my application, we want it to be this. So we're getting there. I see the issue successfully, but our polling logic isn't correct, retrieving the dataset results. I can see a run created successfully. Okay, perfect. Let's add some debug in. Awesome. We're using the wrong URL format in fetching dataset items. Now I'm using the correct one apparently. So we're going to again do a quick update. And hopefully that'll work, and that'll be the end of the stream, and it's working if that's the case. Martin says, what you building? I am building, or trying to build, because today has been an absolute pain. I'm building a tool which allows content creators to generate lead magnets off the back of any video content. So you can put in a blog article and turn it into lead magnets, and then you can generate email subscribers from your lead magnets from there, or we can do it with a YouTube video, or we can do it with TikTok or Instagram. So basically we can stick in a video and it will generate something like a checklist. This is a checklist here based on that video content. I can then put that checklist below that particular video saying, hey, if you like this video, would you like to get this checklist? Cool. But more than that, I can generate landing pages. So this allows me as a content creator to put under every single one of my videos a specific lead magnet with a specific lead landing page in order to capture email addresses. So generally what people do is they will have one lead magnet, which is generally like, you know, download my prompt pack or join my newsletter, which is fine. But if we have a lead magnet which is specific to the video that people have just watched, we're going to have a much higher conversion rate, because I've just watched a video about, hey, AI programming competition success, like how to win hackathons, and then they will be able to get a checklist guide about how to win it, you know, off the back of that video, and that captures an email, sends it to the content creator, etc. So what we're doing today specifically was adding in the TikTok scraping. It's the ability to grab this stuff from TikTok. So let's see if that worked. And we're going to ignore that security error for a moment, and I will fix it offline. But I have a horrible cold, so right now everything is much harder than it needs to be. Okay, rock and roll. So that just pulled in the JSON. Before we finish, okay, that works. The JSON arriving back at the app has the transcript. Let's connect up the TikTok button. Oh, we might not need to. It might already work. Let's give this a go. Might not need to do a single thing. TikTok, click here. Boom. Analyzing content. Because we've just been working on the function in the background. So as long as this button is still connected to that function, there we go. And we are 1 minute and 3 seconds. Sorry, 1 hour, 3 minutes. So we're 3 minutes over. So this video, let's run through it. This video here has 3 million views, like a lot of views. If I had this video and I had the ability to download a checklist or a PDF guide or a quiz which was connected to that video, and then I had the 3 million people come to that video, I would be able to get a portion of those 3 million people to come and check out the next step. So there might be an effective prompt engineering checklist, there might be a are you a ChatGPT prompt master, a quiz or an assessment, or there might be mastering the Risen framework for AI communication, which is a PDF guide, basically a summary of the video. So let's go ahead and create the checklist. But I didn't have that, so I just got the views, which was no good. But in the future, when I post a video, I'll be able to create in seconds a lead magnet like this, which sits underneath the video. So this is a checklist for that video. So setting the role, giving instructions, step-by-step guidance. This is the Risen framework, RIS, end goal, E, N for narrowing, and make sure you build a prompt library. Cool, built a checklist. But more than that, I can build a landing page using this application. So I can host a landing page, host a lead magnet, and collect email addresses. So we are rocking and rolling, and that worked. So we can now run this on TikTok. So I think this is my content, but we will do it on someone else. And we need someone. Oh, that is me. Oh, that is weird. That is really weird. And more confusingly, me being on the live is going to appear in a few seconds. Oh, let's see how many layers we can go. Maybe it's my cold medicine making me do this. There we go. Now we can see my multiple me's. Okay, I need to get off. Cats. There we go. Matt. Sorry, Matt. I'm going to grab your video. But it's because I love you, Matt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in this. So I could either do it with my videos, or I can do it with other people's videos and sell them a lead magnet generation service. So I could go to Matt. Oh, it didn't work. So let's ignore that. I wonder why that didn't work. Anyway, we got the first one working. I could go to someone like Matt and say, hey, would you like me to generate lead magnets for every single one of your videos? If so, it's going to cost $1,000 a month, and I will do that for you. Let's quickly check if that was just a URL issue, because it had all this crap on it. And if that's the case, that's quite easy to fix. I'll just strip the URL. Or is it something else? Nope, something went wrong. Cool, I will fix that later. But we got it working with my video. We got it working, and we can build from here. And probably add in Instagram tomorrow as well. So much to do. So this was day 20 out of 30, building a new application in public. I'm going to be doing this every single month, 1 hour per day, basically showing that you too can vibe code software. Even if you can't code, you can build something from scratch. And I'm hoping, I know a number of people have been following this and also coding at the same time and building out projects. If you are doing that and you're doing this alongside me, please tell me, because I'm very happy to give you a shout out, and we can get some people to come over to your application, because we can all build together and we can all help each other out as well. So I'm going to finish up for today, fix this security issue, and then I will be back tomorrow around the same time, around 11 AM, depending how bad this cold gets, obviously. And you can view all of these past videos over on YouTube. There's a playlist where you can follow through step by step to see how I'm doing it. I'm also putting out guides in my newsletter every single week, which are mainly to do with building in vibe coding and building them in public. So the last one, oh no, that was a different one. If we go back last weekend, for example, this is talking about vibe coding. So how do you get started with vibe coding? You start with something like Lovable, you start with something like Bolt, and then you move on when you're feeling a bit more comfortable to something like Cursor, and then absolutely you can play around with Claude Code, Codex, etc. Those are really, really cool tools, but this, for example, is step 1 of using Claude Code. npm install, if you have Node.js 18 or newer install, go to terminal and type in npm install g and type. Like, if you've never touched a command line interface, if you have no idea what any of this means, Claude Code is not the place to start. So you start with something like Lovable, and then you build in confidence, you build, you upgrade what it is you're building on a day-to-day basis. You start with something simple, and then you work your way up until you feel comfortable using something like Codex or Claude Code. This is a useful guide about how to get started. If you go to newsletter.aiwithkyle.com, you should be able to find it. And also, all of the playlists have all the previous build in public videos, and I'm hoping more people will join me in October, and we shall build together. Awesome. Thank you guys, and apologies again for having a nasty cold. I don't know what this is like from an audio point of view. Maybe it sounds great because I'm more gravelly, but I'm assuming it's terrible. But I managed not to sneeze into my new fancy Lovelia, so that's good. Awesome guys, thank you, and I will see you tomorrow. Cheers.